opportunity to kind of get this thing started the way that you envisioned it. And you've had a lot of former players that you've helped to secure the bag. And what do I mean by secure the bag? I mean get that college scholarship offer that they want and guide them in the right direction, not only athletically, but academically as well, to prepare them physically and mentally. Because if they're not in the books and doing the things and taking the proper ACT scores or know the clearinghouse rules, there's more to just going out there, throwing and catching the pigskin. And that's one of the things you emphasize at 251 Family.
Yeah, one thing that I done kind of made my name made my name through helping kids get to college. And a lot of times you got guys, they work with the skill, they work with things that go on the field, but not understand the pitfalls that a lot of these kids deal with so far as getting eligible, being around the right crowds, and all the things. Because I tell kids all the time, a lot of kids don't make it has nothing to do with their ability. It usually happens with something off the field, for one reason or another. But just trying to take that mindset and apply it to another way for kids to develop during the off season, it's really been our focus at 251.
Well, you've definitely been able to do that. And last year, you guys were kind of able to get that started and really brand the 251 Family. Talk to us about some of the tryouts that you guys just had last week and that you guys have upcoming this week for those student athletes who are looking to play travel ball. Because I've been around coaching here for 25, 26 years, and I know AAU basketball has grown and continues to get bigger from a national standpoint. And when you start talking about 7-on-7, it becomes kind of what I like to consider the AAU of basketball in the football realm as it continues to grow nationally, not just here locally.
Well, just to kind of give you a little history on it, when I was assistant at McGill Tooling, we had some guys reach out to us and ask for several of our players to go play with them in the 7-on-7. Just like all coaches, a lot of our coaches was real skeptical of it. So actually at one point we just decided, let's let the kids go play, but we're going to go watch it. So that year, I think it was 2019, Adidas did a national deal in Tampa. So we went to the tournament, and mind me, we're playing with a team that's out of state. So there's Mobile players playing with a team out of state. So we get down there, it's like over 100 teams. Chad Ochocinco's down there. In our first game was actually against Bryce Young. He was playing with a program out of California named Premium. The second game actually was against T.J. Finley. He was playing with a team out of Louisiana. And I think the third team we played was Harrison Bailey, which ended up signing with Tennessee. And what was amazing to me is how do you have, at this point, Alabama and Auburn's doing what they're doing on the national level. I'm trying to figure out how you got a tournament with over 100 teams playing football, and Alabama doesn't have any representation there. So that was one of my focuses that, with travel ball, whether it's baseball, whether it's basketball, usually the legitimate teams that people call legitimate teams are never in Mobile. Our kids have to go play with the Birmingham team or the New Orleans team. And I just felt like 251, if we have so much talent here, why are they cherry picking our talent instead of our kids being able to wear their area code on their chest and represent for where they're from? So.
Well, I think it's huge, and you're only going to be iron sharpens iron. And Coach McCord, I know, is here with you. Good morning, Coach McCord. Talk to us a little bit about your interest level in the 251 and how much fun it is to watch and develop these young student athletes, and give a little bit of background about yourself as well.
Good morning. Thanks for having us. Well, first of all, I'm connected with 251 Family because of me, Coach Jackson, my brother, Coach TJ McCord. We all were at McGill first, and we all have an understanding of how to have a championship mindset. And that's what I think we all bring to the table with 251 Family. And I think it's probably one of the most exciting parts of football I've been around since I've been playing. You get to connect with kids from around the city, not just at one school. and you get to see the development in them. You get to see not only the development in their skill set on the field, but you also get to see their development as young men. You get to see the development of becoming brothers with each other. One thing I think that 251 family brings to the city itself is it brings a brotherhood to the game. Um, if I feel like if you was to look at the stats from the next 5 to 10 years as far as unsportsmanlike conduct and flagrant penalties on the field, you would see that it's probably less because of these kids playing together. It's not just about what school they go to. They feel like everybody in the city, they're brothers. Everybody in the city is 251 family. So that's the intangible that you see that 251 family brings to the city of Mobile.
And Carl, you mentioned your success there as an assistant coach at McGill-Tulane, winning the state championship and being a very familiar product here of the Mobile, Alabama area. I know that Williamson High School is where you made your hay there, and you played with some pretty talented guys and have seen some of your classmates and teammates go on to do tremendous things, such as T. Martin, who again is a outstanding collegiate recruiter, whether it was at Tennessee, Southern Cal. But when you have somebody of T. Martin's magnitude who has a national championship to his name, who has an opportunity to be on the West Coast at one of the most successful and historic programs at Southern Cal, and to be back at Tennessee and now be in the NFL and know what it takes from the grassroots program. Talk to us about what it would have meant to you 25 years ago to have the opportunity and the exposure that 251 family is bringing from a 7-on-7 standpoint, and the relationship that you built with Jamarcus Russell and T. Martin, and again having an opportunity to coach Carlton Marshall, the NCAA's all-time leading tackler at Troy University, who's going to be making his last football appearance here in Mobile, Alabama at the Reese's Senior Bowl.
Well, going back, all right, my first year of dealing with high school recruiting was in '04, which was Antonio Coleman. At that point at Williamson, we got Antonio Coleman, Jared White, several guys, but I even think about other guys in the city. At that year, I think Ellis Langster was a senior that year. And you just think about if you go year by year with the talent we had in Mobile, if you would have had 7-on-7 at that point, it's no telling what these guys would look like. Not only because of the talent they already had, but like you said, iron sharpens iron. So now what happens when you take the best guys from Mobile, you let them compete against the best guys from New Orleans, compete against the best guys from Atlanta. It's just that's the real component where you get guys saying, okay, I want to be a 5-star. Well, you're not going to be a 5-star playing against 2 stars. So you're going to have to get out, find some competition, some top-tier competition, and you may have success that day, you may not. That's what happens when you play against great players. But in reality, that's college football. When you get there, everybody's all-state. When you get there, everybody's been Mr. Football, especially at the high-level schools that you have in the Southeast. Now, with guys like T. Martin, one thing T allowed me to do, when he was on the West Coast, and as he went through his career, and not only just T, but with Damian Craig and some of the other guys I have relationships with on college level, I get to see what is the development and kind of open my eyes to what's going on in other markets that helps their players. For the last few years, Bama's even made a run at a lot of West Coast quarterbacks. And you got to ask yourself, okay, if they can get any player they want, what's making them go all the way across the country and get guys? Well, one thing is 7-on-7 is real heavy out there. Those guys are throwing, and I was just explaining, I want to say I was talking to Coach Riles last night from Baldwin County, and I was explaining to him, let's say you get a kid go and plays in 5 tournaments during the offseason. Mm-hmm. Okay, on an average of about 7 games. That's 35 games of competition your kid has got from the end of the season to the spring. And you take those guys on the West Coast, and they're doing that from 10 years old all the way up. They're only going to be better at throwing the ball. You get better at doing something. Experience whether it's in a padded situation or whether it's in shorts. The speed of the game is going to be a little different than when you're practicing, and it's nothing more like these kids are a little different than when we was coming up. Everybody played touch football back in the day.
Yeah.
So this is basically a high level version of that in my mind.
Well, when you start looking at the success that a Carlton Marshall has and his ability to speak on how solid of a relationship and how you helped him not only athletically but academically, and when you start looking at some of your former players, one that really goes and has kind of gone under the radar, so to speak, played at McGill-Toolen, goes off to play for the Maryland Terrapins, and now you're talking about a young man and Mr. Bennett coming all the way back and playing in the Senior Bowl, Reese's Senior Bowl as well. When you have people like that and Eric Guerra and some of your other former players, not only talking about the relationships they had with you personally, but how 7-on-7 has really evolved and changed their life personal. It's about personal relationships. And what I love is the fact that anything that you see Coach McCord or Coach Jackson have, it says 251 family. And it says family under that 251. 251, everything and every athlete that I have, when I turn on the television on a Friday night or Saturday afternoon, you see so many hashtag 251 ballers. You look at Jermaine Skull Brown last night for UAB. You turn around, and right after that, I mentioned Carlton Marshall, the NCAA's all-time leading tackler. Again, putting 251 on the map. And I mentioned to you about Mr. Bennett coming down here, playing for the Maryland Terrapins, and having an opportunity to get his shot at making it to the NFL. 251 family. Talk to everybody where that name came from and what 251 family means to you guys both.
All right, so before I decided to do this, I talked with a couple guys. T was one of them, Damien. Now, the naming and the color was really Damien Craig. Now, it took a twist, but Damien said, I ain't gonna say what the name I was gonna come up with, but Damien's like, look, you gotta come up with a name that says everything in one thing. Mm-hmm. When somebody see that name, they gotta say where you from, what you're about, what everything has to be in that one name. And when I came back to him, because I'm gonna tell you, I actually got the name back when Marlon Williams was playing for UCF. They had on the front of their helmets, they had the area code of where that player was from. So it's like a headshot of Marlon with 251 on his face mask that I kind of came up with 251. And I'm a big believer in word become flesh. So if you keep speaking something, if you say family, that says a lot. Saying family doesn't say you're going to get along all the time. Family doesn't say that, that y'all best friends. Family saying, I'm going to be there for you, you're going to be there for me. And using that word with these teams, Coach McCord can tell you this, when you're in a competitive situation, it's going to be a lot of times that family part showed itself. It showed itself through the growth of these kids. One thing that you have with these kids growing up, as strong as the youth programs are in this area, a lot of these kids grow up together. When you talk to them, they play the 8 Mile together. They play the Matri together. And when they get to high school, they end up putting a name on their chest that divides them. Well, and there's nothing wrong with that. Schools have to do that. You have to have that to be competitive. But when you get ready to go off to college, whether you from Bala Battery, whether you from McIntosh, they're not gonna say, "Hey, I'm in Michigan. They're gonna be like, I'm from Mobile. I'm from 251." So that's where that comes from. To where we needed to have something to bring these guys back together, because at some point when you go off to college, it's gonna be who from the crib with you.
Yeah.
So that was the whole mindset of it. I just felt like that name kind of embodies that, and it's something that, when I send these shirts off to different guys, like T, He's going to wear a 251 where he is. Damien's going to wear his. Aaron James and Tuskegee, and that way they can represent where they're from. And a lot of times I try to send it to them in the colors of the team they're representing, to where it's not out of, but the color scheme, Damien kind of told me to go with green and blue, and I just took the black. I was really trying to stay away from the colors that a lot of the high schools had. If I would have did that, it created some type of divide or have somebody feeling some type of way.
Well, you've seen some great talent, and I know Coach McCord has seen some great talent as well. And we're being joined in studio by the 251 family, and it's going to be Stephan McCord along with Carl Jackson from 251 family. A 7-on-7 family feel in football is what they bring. Coach McCord, talk to us about what 251 family means to you.
Well, for one, with the relationship me and Coach Jackson have, whatever it was that he needed help with that involved being a positive influence to the youth, I would have been able to jump in line and help him with it. That's just the type of guy he is. I know what his intentions are. People don't know is, a lot of the things that he does for the athletes at the school that he coaches at, it's not just for them. He doesn't speak on it much, but he's gotten a lot of kids in colleges that wasn't even playing for him. But that's just what his purpose is, and that's what I can easily tag along with, because I serve that same purpose. With 251 family, one thing I love that Coach does when he does, make shirts for other people, he gives it to them in their color. It kind of goes to show that it's not the color or the logo, or the brand that defines us. It's that word, family, and what we're representing, and we all represent the same thing. So, to kind of touch on what he said, when kids go off to college, if, for instance, I went to Grambling State University, if I meet a guy on my team from Texas and he asks me where I'm from, he's not going to know the high school I went to, but he's going to know the city. He's going to know, Mobile, Alabama. So when you leave and go to, you of course have the love for your alma mater, but you represent your city more than, the school you went to. You represent that school for 4 years. You represent that city for life. And it brings a connection to the city that a lot of people won't really see, but the kids see and the kids feel it. And it means so much to the development of their character.
Well, coaches, it's been a privilege to have you guys in studio with me. And one thing about Corey LeBounty's locker room, what we love to do on this show is always bring up positive things that are going well, not only statewide, nationally, but especially right here within our community. Because I'll say this, every time I get an opportunity to MC an event or stand in front of a group of people and recognize young people, you always hear about the negative. You turn on to the news, and the first 5 to 7 minutes, you hear about the negativity or what's going on with the youth. Not a lot of positive things are being said and being done, and 251 family is one of the great and positive things. It's a way to keep our kids out of the streets, essentially. It's a way to keep them doing things 365 that not only involve athletics, but involve academics, because there's ACT preps that are involved, clearinghouse issues that are being brought up that sometimes parents aren't aware of. And that's the greatest thing I think about 251 family. Also, you connect directly with the parents to inform the parents, so the parents can get more engaged and more involved and have a broader scope and a better knowledge and foundation of how the next level at the NCAA works. Because it's important to know how high school eligibility works, so you can stay eligible to play high school football for your team as well. But in the NCAA, to make sure that you've taken that ACT or that SAT, that you have that qualifying grade point average. And that's one of the great things, Carl, I think you guys have really done.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, and I want to hit this since you're saying that. Like I said, I made my bones in dealing with recruiting. Well, one day I had a real eureka moment where, all right, so if you're at a school that's on block schedule, for instance, and you're taking 4 classes a day, okay? You're taking a possible 8 credits a year. Okay. Now you allowed by your school and by the NCAA to take 2 additional summer school night class, online classes a year. So you got a possible 10 credits a year. So over 4 years, that's 40 credits. Now a lot of people tell you need to get eligible, but nobody tells you the schematics of it. So out of a possible 40 credits, if I ask a parent, okay, how many of these credits you need to be eligible at the NCAA? A lot of them will tell me 20, 21, and the number is 16. The way if you got 40 opportunities to get 16 right, 90% of our kids are ineligible, not because they're not good students, but because of ignorance of what the actual rule is. You know, or you'll get kids, and right now I'm just touching on some of the misunderstandings that parents have. And that's one thing with 251 is that when I coached at Williamson, coached at McGill, coaching at Bryant, I can pour that into my parents. But 251 allows me to get that parent that may not have a coach that has experience at recruiting or has experience in NCAA eligibility. Some schools have a guy that's responsible for that, some schools don't. But going back to that, so if you got 40 opportunities to get 16 right, and you understand that a 78 is a 2 and a 71 is a 2, it doesn't average out. So really understanding how the NCAA works, understanding what are my NCAA accepted classes at my school, and really knowing that because you have a lot of kids throw away credits taking electives that the school may be pushing, but doesn't necessarily fit their plan to go to college. Like you may have a kid, he think he want to be a Division I player, and no knock on those classes, but he's taking photography.
Yeah.
You know, he's taking agriculture, you know, and those are not accepted classes. So, you know, the biggest thing, we want to inform the parents, you know, through 251, we want to inform the parents, we want to inform the uncles, because a lot of times you have people giving guys advice that haven't dealt with recruiting in 10 years. And between the portal, the NCAA rules, and all that stuff, somebody could be giving you some real advice from what it was when he was coming through. This is a totally different animal today. You know, I was talking with a parent this week, and you got an uncle telling well, they still come up. No. If they ain't there now, they going to the portal to get you, you know, and they going to go get an older version of you, you know, so.
That's tough to deal with sometimes, especially in the portal. That's why I think it's so informative that people know how they have an opportunity. I know last week you did have 251 family tryouts. Talk to us about the upcoming tryouts. How can people reach out to 251 family and get their child involved or just have inquiries about the 251 family and what 7-on-7 entails?
All right, so first of all, we had for our 18, basically from 14 years up, well, really 13 years up, we had the tryout last Sunday at Covenant Academy. We're actually going to have, we're making some cuts, but we're also having a makeup at Ladd Stadium on the 21st for 251 family. Actually today, at 1 o'clock, we're doing the trials for the 10 and 12U, two age groups that we're adding this year.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times we would go off and the little brothers of the kids that we got on the team see the smaller teams. And because of that, I got a lot of pressure to, hey, let's go ahead and add these teams and get these, you know, so these younger kids can get out and experience this too. On another note, Sunday, we're doing we're expanding to the Eastern Shore.
Okay.
So, you know, for a kid from Foley to come practice at Covenant Academy, he's traveling an hour one way. So this kid has to travel 2 hours just to get to us. So through talking to a lot of the head coaches on that side, you know, they really support what I was doing, but they were just like the travel was just a lot. So in conjunction with a lot of those guys over there, we're having trials Sunday for Coastal Elite, which is it's a 251 affiliate. We'll be at Tryon Park at 1 o'clock. Check-in starts at 1 o'clock. But we'll be doing that to service those schools over there on the Eastern Shore. but they didn't want to have a name that was limited. So we didn't want to name it 251 Baldwin. We wanted to give it its own name. You know, if you got a guy from Evergreen that wants to come play with them, we didn't want to just kind of limit that to one county.
Well, that makes plenty of sense, folks. And if you want to follow 251, tell everybody how they can follow you on social media and, again, continue to gain more attention and learn more about 7-on-7.
I'm connected to all the 251 family on social medias. You can catch us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We got a YouTube channel. For any parents that's not really affiliated, if you go to our 251 family on YouTube, we actually have some videos on there that kind of answer questions. A couple of years ago, we did a video. And in that video, Devontae Smith, you can see all these guys competing in 7-on-7. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, a lot of those guys. And Coach McCord can tell you this. At McGill-Toolen, I can't say that 7-on-7 was our success. It was part of it. You know, a lot of coaches will argue, well, 7-on-7 is not football. Well, 3rd and 1 is football, but so is 3rd and 10.
Come on.
So, you know, you got to be able to throw the ball when they know you're throwing the ball. So you got to be able to run the ball. So it's not the whole piece of the puzzle, but it's part of it. It creates, when you say balance, a balanced offense ain't just running and play action. Balance is you can do both. So the format that we use, and Coach McCord can tell you this, it's the exact same format we used when we was at McGill. It's the exact same way we travel. You know, thanks to Wright's tours. You know, we're gonna ride on charter bus. I don't want coaches sleeping on the side of the road trying to get kids home. So, you know, we went out our way to try to do it right, put the kids in nice hotels, have itineraries for them, try to have things organized so that everybody know what's the task and where they should be when they should be there.
Well, I tell you what, I commend both of you guys for putting in a lot of sweat equity to our youth and just seeing them develop and become better men. And that's what it's about. Again, building up our young people, our young men to become not only better young men, but eventually becoming better husbands, better fathers, and better productive citizens. And athletics is a tool and a vehicle to get you where you want to be in life. And if you're lucky enough to make it to that next level and have that opportunity to play at the collegiate and pro level, then there's nothing wrong with seeing that your ability to give back to 251 family and to the community in Mobile, Alabama. And I salute all those athletes who make it and do give back, and 251 family is a small part of that.
Now, one thing I would like to say, because we service inner city kids, the format I got from some of the volleyball club teams, which they are LLCs. Well, because of the demographic of what we're servicing, 251 is a 501c3. It is a certified nonprofit. So for anybody that wants to support, wants to lend, you know, people that know what we're doing, if you supporting with Gatorades, you support with money, whatever type of support you can give. You know, if you're a teacher and you want to lend your services as a tutor, whatever it is. Now, one person I got to mention is AEI, Educational Services. She has serviced our kids. Each year we do a mock ACT. She does that for, and she tutors the kids with ACT because that's a part of it, you know, and we encourage our kids to take advantage of those things. You know, we're going to give you all the tools that you need and everything you need, whether it's mentorship, whether it's tutoring, whether it's skill development, whatever it is, we're going to try to put those things to basically help our city to get the next group of great guys. You know, we've been real blessed to see a lot of guys go off, like you said, Carlton and Eric. Congratulations to Eric for graduating yesterday, you know, but that's what it's about. You know, some guys work their way through school at McDonald's. Some guys work their way through school on the football field.
Eric Guerra, huge graduate of Louisiana Lafayette's Raging Cajun program. And again, he made his presence known for 4 years. And sometimes that was against South Alabama, shining against South Alabama in his own backyard. So people here definitely know who he is and what he's all about. But Coach McCord and Coach Jackson, again, thank you so much for all that you do. And folks, again, if you want to sow that seed back into the inner city youth, there's no better place to do it than being part of the 251 family. And you can reach out to myself if you have any further questions. I can point you in the direction on how to get in touch with Stephan McCord along with Carl Jackson and the 251 family. And I just want to wish you guys the best this entire 7-on-7 all season. Hope everyone is able to stay healthy, stay productive, and again, continue to get the type of exposure, not only academically, but athletically as well, as part of the 251 family.
Right. Can I add one thing, Cole?
Absolutely.
Just want to put this out there. I'm not going to elaborate on it too much, but I know we've been mentioning Covenant Academy a lot. Just want to let everyone know to just, kind of look it up, see what we have going on. We have a lot of great things that is going to be coming to the city, and I think people will really be able to benefit from it.
Covenant Academy. If you have not heard about Covenant Academy, go ahead and do your Google search, because it is an up-and-coming program that is starting to participate in athletics over the last couple of years, and it's growing out in West Mobile, and you have to start somewhere. So want to thank Covenant Academy for giving the workspace for these young student athletes to continue to develop, and it's a safe workspace at that, folks. So thank you to Covenant Academy and the wonderful job that they do, and thank you, gentlemen, for joining me this morning here on Corey LeBounty's Locker Room, brought to you by the Mobile County Sheriff's Office. When we come back, we'll be speaking with state championship coach Ronnie Jackson from Ramsey High School, coming up next here on Corey LeBounty's Locker Room.